Welcome to Biggest Spoilars, the destination for exclusive spoilers, latest updates.
Sonny eventually breaks the news to Diane that he hired Rick for when it comes to complicated deals with people with colophons. It's really for her own good. That goes over about as well as you might imagine, but Sonny insists his family's changed and he's the only family Sonny has. That's the only reason he's doing this. No bones happy about Rick. Alexis is staying for Diane at the Port Charles Grill when Rick walks in, spots her and sits himself down to thank her for saving his life and holding him hostage. It was the remedy he demanded to realize the only thing that signified was family. Ah. He goes on and on about changing until Alexis just says she hopes so and sends him off to bug his date, who just arrived. Diane follows shortly behind to ask if Alexis knew what Sonny was over to. Yep. And she's the bone. Who advised him to be outspoken with Diane. At the other table, Rick tells Liz that he'll be working so nearly with Sonny and his business dealings. Liz's face falls presto. It's not a good idea, for so numerous reasons. Josslyn runs into Cullum. Josslyn pauses at the brown dog before joining Trina, Kai, Gino, and Emma, allowing back to her fight with Carly. When she hears about Trina singing at Charlie's open mic night, she says she'll completely to make it. As they all toast, Cullum and Brennan walk in. Which means Joss has to run. Big paper do. Got to go. Trina walks her out, but they see Aunt get by before Cullum spots her to say hi as he gets some beer. What the what? Trina asks her friend. Joss makes some reason about him just being a arbitrary creepy Joe she keeps running into. Which is a concerning reason. But she says she's really dipping because of Brennan and her mama. Trina's advice? Try to talk effects out with Carly. Brennan, meanwhile, wanders over to ask Emma how Anna's doing and gets told in no uncertain terms it's none of his business. Also she follows him back to the table and tells him to leave Anna the hell alone. Stella gives Portia a reality check. Stella waltzes into Portia's office and tells her to stay out of Jordan's business. Jordan faced the test, and now Portia has to face her resentment towards Jordan. Snap out of it, now. Ultimately, Portia admits she ended their marriage, not Jordan. She and Curtis are to condemn. No bone. Differently. Portia tells her to work through this, for the baby that's coming and for her and Isaiah. The croaker. Thanks Stella, they clench and all is forgiven. It sets Portia up impeccably for when Isaiah stops in and she promises her passions for Curtis are in the history. Isaiah knows that. He trusts her and is just glad she's moving forward. Jordan tells Curtis all. Jordan gets home to Curtis and tells him about the gestation test that was, blessedly, negative. Substantially, she was spooked until Stella pushed her to do it. And that was actually good. They talked effects out. Portia, however, allowing she's pregnant, that's another matter, but Jordan gets it. Curtis is all the more amazed to see how gracefully Jordan's been handling Portia. She's a good person, Jordan insists. The two feel better than ever that they can partake their passions with each other. Will Josslyn expose Valentine to Sonny? Carly finds Valentine staying for her in the dark, staying to ask what sleeping together meant. Does she like him? Carly tries awkwardly dodging effects, but after Valentine tells her about his talk with Jason, she admits she has no regrets. Neither does Val. He smiles and goes back over to the garret. Sonny stops by coming and gets an earful about Josslyn and their fight. Carly keeps it vague outside of Joss being angry with him, but Sonny has no problem keeping his distance if it's what Carly needs. But it's too late when Josslyn barges in and literally way between Sonny and his mama. He offers to figure out whatever the problem is between them and, well, still, and leave the country. I'll be sure to shoot you a card, if you do the right thing by Donna and all your surviving children. WOW. She also turns on Carly. In the show's final moments, Alexis suggests that Diane just let Rick get all the slush slung at him, and when Sonny comes crawling back, Diane can charge him triadic. Rick, meanwhile, tells Liz the real reason he's working with Sonny is to get a stable job and put down roots for her. Sonny's face is priceless as he stands behind Joss, hearkening to her go off on Carly and her horrible choices. The choices she's making right now. Oop. She storms out, leaving Sonny mystified. Olivia Quartermaine walked in on a shocking sight while Sonny Corinthos had some words of caution for Jason Morgan. At Alexis Davis's house, Cody Bell brought Molly Lansing Davis a gift handbasket in expedience of making her feel more, but that just made it harder for Molly to say what she demanded to say. Molly eventually came clean about her incapability to have children and admitted she didn't want any through relinquishment or surrogacy. Moreover, Cody claimed Molly was enough for him, so Molly got emotional and kissed him when she realized he really meant it. At the Quartermaine gatehouse with Michael Corinthos, Jacinda Bracken talked about wanting to look out for Charlotte Cassadine since her life went off track at that age. Jacinda opened up about falling in love with a man 10 times aged than her and how hard it was after her parents cut her off due to the relationship. It led to Jacinda moving in with her swain and doing any job she could, but she still plotted and wound up getting in companion. Michael assured Jacinda that she had nothing to be ashamed of and got passionate with her. Formerly they undressed by the fire. Olivia came looking for Leo Quartermaine's retainer and was frightened over the naked scene before her. After Michael and Jacinda got dressed in a hurry, Olivia explained the retainer situation. Olivia also refocused out that Leo or indeed Wiley Corinthos could have interrupted rather, so Michael said they'd lock the door coming time. Still, Olivia didn't like that answer and pushed Michael to really suppose about what nearly happened then moment. In Laura Collins' office, she lumbered to Ezra Boyle about the public notice she'd been sneaky about posting for the zoning constitution on Jen Sidwell's helicopters. However, the constitution would go through as planned, if there were no complaints in the coming many days. Ezra formally again suggested he'd gotten in too deep with Sidwell before he realized the magnitude of the situation. Martin Gray came on and intruded before Tracy Quartermaine showed up looking all dirty after a spill on her steed. Tracy claimed the steed got scarified due to a copter connected to Sidwell's business. After making some calls to complain, Tracy realized the zoning constitution change and indicted Laura of accepting a fix from Sidwell. Martin defended Laura before Tracy pledged to get a judge that she was musketeers with to stop the constitution. Although Martin didn't suppose Tracy's instruction plan would work, Ezra sounded uneasy and intimately advised Laura that Sidwell wouldn't be pleased if his plans were derailed. Still, Laura was easily getting fed up with Sidwell and all his orders. At Sonny's place, Jason informed him that he'd be leaving city with Britt Westbourne soon and hiding out with her while they awaited on Brick to recreate her drug. Jason also planned to wipe Ross Cullum off the chart on his way out of city and considered framing Jack Brennan. Sonny advised Jason to make sure it was a clean mega hit since he'd no way see the light of day again if he got caught taking out a WSB agent. Jason anticipated to be gone for a month or two depending on how long the replication process took for Britt's drug. Sonny and Jason participated a sweet moment as they made it clear that they'd always be there for each other. Meanwhile, Stella Henry kept Curtis Ashford in the dark on the gestation test she set up in Jordan Ashford's bag and took off to ask Jordan some questions, so Curtis sounded a bit suspicious. At the nail salon, Portia Robinson realized Jordan hadn't told Curtis about her gestation and allowed. Jordan was a fraud when she pushed Portia to back off. Although Jordan revealed Portia's own baby news to Curtis before she was ready, she said she wouldn't do that to Jordan. Portia met up with Isaiah Gannon at GH and filled him in on the Jordan gestation drama, so he wondered if she left Curtis in the dark because she didn't plan on keeping the baby. Back with Curtis, he got a visit from Trina Robinson and let her know he was moving in Jordan's apartment, which Trina was fine with. Although Trina was a little jealous of her pater's new baby with Portia, Curtis had enough love for both of his kiddies. Stella eventually summoned Jordan to the sanitarium and brazened her over the gestation test she'd accidentally discovered. Jordan conceded that she'd been putting off taking the test and wasn't sure about keeping the baby if she was indeed pregnant. Stella claimed this would be harder the longer Jordan awaited, so Jordan dashed off to the drugstore for another gestation test and took one. Once Jordan returned, Stella asked about the results and awaited her answer. General Hospital spoilers say some surprises are still to come for Plenitude of Port Charles residers, so stay tuned. The world of General Hospital continues to surge forward with emotional upheaval, moral crossroads, and the kind of life-altering revelations that feel almost like a baptism by fire for the residents of Port Charles. For many of them, this moment is not just about surviving another crisis, it is about emerging from it changed, tested, and in some cases, hardened. Encouraging words are spoken in quiet corners, while elsewhere, anger simmers and erupts into warnings and threats that carry real consequences. Every choice feels heavier, every secret more dangerous, and every relationship pushed to its limit. At the center of one shocking moment stands Olivia Quartermaine, portrayed by Lisa Lo Cicero, who stumbles into a scene she never expected to witness. What she sees instantly disrupts her sense of order and propriety, reminding her that even within the walls of the Quartermaine estate, control is often an illusion. Meanwhile, across town, Sonny Corinthos, brought to life by Maurice Benard, offers Jason Morgan, played by Steve Burton, a stern but heartfelt warning. Sonny's words are not just cautionary, they are the kind of guidance that comes from years of walking a dangerous line between power and destruction. He knows exactly what is at stake, and he wants Jason to understand that one wrong move could cost him everything. Elsewhere, at the home of Alexis Davis, emotions run deep as Cody Bell tries to bring comfort to Molly Lansing Davis. His gesture, a thoughtful gift basket, is meant to lift her spirits, to show her that she is not alone in her struggles. But sometimes kindness makes honesty even harder. Molly finds herself unable to hide behind polite gratitude any longer. Instead, she chooses truth, even though it hurts. With a trembling voice and a heavy heart, Molly confesses something deeply personal: she cannot have children. But her revelation doesn't stop there. She goes further, explaining that she does not want to pursue motherhood through adoption or surrogacy either. It is not just a biological limitation she is facing, it is a choice, a boundary she is setting for her own life. In that moment, vulnerability becomes her strength, even as she fears it might drive Cody away. But Cody surprises her. Rather than retreating or expressing disappointment, he meets her honesty with unwavering acceptance. He tells her that she is enough, just as she is. His words carry a quiet power, offering reassurance without pressure, love without conditions. It is the kind of encouragement that doesn't erase pain but makes it easier to bear. Overcome with emotion, Molly responds in the only way she can: she kisses him, sealing a moment that feels both fragile and profound. Meanwhile, at the Quartermaine Gatehouse, another story unfolds, one that blends confession, empathy, and a search for connection. Michael Corinthos listens as Jacinda Bracken opens up about her past, revealing a life shaped by difficult choices and painful consequences. She speaks of falling in love with an older man when she was still young, a relationship that cost her the support of her family. Cut off and alone, she was forced to navigate the world on her own terms. Her story is one of survival. She moved in with her boyfriend, took whatever work she could find, and struggled to make ends meet. Eventually, she turned to escorting, a decision born not of desire, but of necessity. As she shares this part of her life, there is a quiet fear in her voice, as if she expects judgment or rejection. But Michael responds with compassion. He assures her that she has nothing to be ashamed of, that her past does not define her worth. His acceptance becomes a bridge between them, leading to a moment of intimacy that feels both spontaneous and inevitable. As they give in to their connection, the outside world fades away, until it crashes back in with Olivia's unexpected arrival. Olivia's shock is immediate and undeniable. Walking in on Michael and Jacinda in such a vulnerable moment leaves her rattled, her mind racing with concern and disapproval. Once the initial chaos settles and explanations are offered, Olivia's focus shifts to something deeper. She reminds Michael of the risks, not just the embarrassment of being caught, but the potential impact on the children in the house, like Leo and Wiley. Her words carry the weight of responsibility, urging Michael to think beyond the moment and consider the broader consequences of his actions. But Michael's response, that they will simply lock the door next time, does little to ease her concerns. To Olivia, this isn't just about privacy, it's about judgment, timing, and the example being set. Her frustration lingers, a reflection of the ongoing tension between personal freedom and familial responsibility. Across town, political tensions and power struggles take center stage in Laura Collins' office. Laura finds herself increasingly irritated with Ezra Boyle, whose involvement in a controversial zoning ordinance has created a storm of suspicion. The ordinance, tied to Jen Sidwell's helicopter operations, has been quietly advanced with the expectation that it will pass unless significant opposition arises. But secrecy rarely stays hidden for long in Port Charles. Tracy Quartermaine soon bursts onto the scene, literally shaken after being thrown from her horse, an incident she blames on the very helicopters connected to Sidwell's business. Covered in dirt but burning with determination, Tracy wastes no time in voicing her outrage. When she learns about the zoning change, her anger intensifies. She accuses Laura of corruption, suggesting that the ordinance must be the result of a bribe. It is a bold and inflammatory claim, one that puts Laura on the defensive. Martin Gray steps in to support Laura, attempting to defuse the situation, but Tracy is not easily deterred. She vows to take legal action, calling on a judge she knows to block the ordinance and stop Sidwell's plans in their tracks. Behind the scenes, however, there is an undercurrent of fear. Ezra privately warns Laura that Sidwell will not react kindly if his interests are threatened. This is where the tone shifts from frustration to something darker, an implicit threat that suggests consequences beyond legal battles. Laura, already weary of Sidwell's influence, begins to show signs of resistance. She may have played along before, but her patience is wearing thin. Meanwhile, Sonny and Jason's conversation takes on a more personal yet equally dangerous tone. Jason reveals his plan to leave town with Britt Westbourne, seeking refuge while they wait for a solution to her medical crisis. But his departure is not just about escape, it is also about unfinished business. Jason intends to eliminate Ross Cullum, a move that carries significant risk. Even more concerning is his idea to frame Jack Brennan for the crime.